and welcome to another episode of Witch Hat Chats. And come on in and sit for a spell. And we are sponsored by Evermoving We Rise and Moonlight Potions and Charms. And we also have the amazing, the wonderful Chaos Magician. And he keeps telling me he's not from hell, but he also has an office in hell. So, I mean, he lives in Texas. So, I mean, come on. His name is Saul Ravencraft. How you doing, Saul?
Oh, let it all burn, Nikki. Let it all burn. What's going on with you?
Oh, nothing much. Just up here in North Carolina. It hasn't really been that hot, and I kind of enjoy that.
Oh, that's nice. That is nice.
Oh, so what's been going on with you, Mr. Saul?
Well, it's all the usual stuff. Moving toward October quickly, and keep up with me on Facebook to find out all the good stuff going on. I'm pretty easy to find. Not a lot of Saul Ravencrafts around, so that's the best way to keep up with what's going on. Now, you've always got tons of stuff going on. What's going on with you?
Well, I don't think the world can handle more than one Saul Ravencraft.
Can barely handle this one.
Well, that is very, very true. Don't you have a horror movie coming up?
Well, we just did those this last week. So we had screenings of Ravencraft's Vault of Horror that happens on the second Monday and second Wednesday of the month. We watched Fright Night. We're going to fire it up again in October with Trick or Treat, a fun little anthology series that has an ending that sort of ties everything up at the end, makes you go, oh, as you see how all the stories relate in a fascinating way. So yeah, looking forward to that. It got cheers when I announced it, so obviously a good choice.
Obviously. I think they're going to redo that movie, aren't they?
Oh, sure, why not? Right. What's the point of having things?
I mean, it's not like they don't have like 50 billion books coming out every single month, and it's not like there's new, something coming out every month. Like there's new ideas and everything. I mean, Come on, really? Let's go back
personally,
and ruin that good movie.
Go back and watch this one and enjoy it and reward those creators instead of stealing from them. And if you're going to steal, you should do it like they used to, where you just kind of ripped them off. You had a killer in a different kind of mask, and you didn't try to remake it. You just ripped them off. That was the old classic way of doing things in the horror genre. And then what would happen is in several cases, what they did to cover their ass for the ripoff ended up being an interesting difference from what they were ripping off, and it became its own thing.
Right.
Do that.
The only good things that have recently come out is the spinoff American Horror Story season 2. Now, the first season was all right. It wasn't great, but season 2 is actually has some decent stories coming out. The first one was the Dollhouse, and the way that they had done it was really, really good. I liked it. Nothing has been really scary. But then again, I grew up in the times where they had Michael Myers and they had Freddy Krueger and they had all the bloody and gory, kind of stuff. So nothing's going to pretty much scare me. But they got a lot of the psychological in there. And then the second one has to do with these camera doorbells.
All
That was
right.
really neat because the camera doorbells actually only see the spirits. They don't see real people. They see spirits. So it's really, really interesting. The second season of
The
American
ghost
Horror
stole my
Story.
Amazon.
Right. And these are spirits that come back after the people that are living there.
Fun
So
stuff.
it's really, really interesting for these. So the second season is a lot better than the first season. So I'm hoping when American Horror Story comes back on, it's not about stupid aliens or about the 80s again, because I'm sorry, the last few seasons was really, really dumb.
Well, we're getting into spooky season, which is when the rest of the world catches up with me. So there's lots of wonderful horror movies on TV and streaming services that are being highlighted that normally fly under the radar for the rest of the year. It's a great time to just pick a few kinds of things and find out what you're into and have some popcorn and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and I can't wait for the new Addams Family to come out. Have you seen the clips for that?
I've seen the trailer, and it goes back to the original Charles Addams drawings, which is not exactly what was done with John Aston and that crew. They did wonderful stuff, but it was kind of its own thing, and the movies later were their own thing. But the casting here, I'm really intrigued to see Gomez here because he's like the original conception of Gomez. And that was part of what was so intriguing about those cartoons was he was a little freakish in some ways, and Morticia, and neither one of them exactly had names in the cartoon. Morticia was just this gorgeous creature of the night kind of a person, and they were very different from society's view, but they were passionately in love with each other. That was borne out in the cartoon. And the real freaks, the normal people, look at that and go, well, how can that be? How can these two love each other so much? I mean, look at them. And yet that's the whole point, is their love is deeper than skin. It is deeper than outward appearance and judgment. The whole Addams Family universe is about everybody being who they are and what they are, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They don't judge.
Right.
And gosh, that's the universe I want to live in.
Right.
But enough about all that. What's going on in Miss Nikki's world?
Well, with Evermoving We Rise on September the 23rd, we're going to have our Mabon and New Moon ritual. And we're going to do it based on a ritual of gratitude. With Mabon, it's time to really be grateful for what we have. Because with the last few years, we've gone through a lot of shit. And it's time to be grateful for what we have, for what we have received, and to be appreciative for the sacrifices that have been made. So we're going to get to the point where we're just going to be thankful for what we have. So that is going to be on September the 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can go on our Facebook page and look through that. And that's going to be in our announcements at the bottom of the screen here. And then with Moonlight Potions and Charms, we've got a lot going on. We are also an Etsy star seller again. And we're so excited about our 5-star reviews and our excellent products with our amazing service for our fast shipping. We usually ship within 24 hours, so we're very, very quick. We have our excellent readings as well as our coachings. And we have new items such as our Hear No Evil, See No Evil, and Speak No Evil skeletons. They are so darn cute. As well as some other items like our Papa Legba altars on the go and our candles that we have. It is just an amazing thing that we come up with, and just being able to help our community step and embrace their power is just unbelievable, especially when we talk to our customers and talk to our clients and just see how our products have really helped them so much. It's just amazing to us. So we really do enjoy that. On October 22nd at the Paul's 4th Annual Pets Fest at Morse Park in Lake Lure, North Carolina, from 10 to 2 p.m., this is a chance to come with your family and your pets to have fun, eat food, and dance to the music. There's going to be vendors from Western North Carolina tailored to your pet. There's going to be a raffle and local animal rescues that will bring animals out to adopt, rain or shine. So there's going to be so much fun that people are going to be able to have, and it's going to be for a good cause. So come on out and have some fun. And Moonlight Potions and Charms are going to have some items that are just for this place. We're going to have some signs that are just for the magical fun and for the pets and stuff like that. So come on out and have some fun with us. And also, we are on Spotify. Yes, we are. We're on Spotify now. So we're having so much fun. You can take us, Witch Hat Chats, on the go. Oh, Lordy, we are just getting around, aren't we, Saul?
Oh, you betcha. You betcha.
So do you want to know what our divination reading is?
Of course, I always do, Miss Nikki.
All right. So usually what I do is I read a divination reading from Yogi Tea. And I usually read it from the Positive Energy Tea. But today, because of our topic, I decided to use the Kitchen Witch Gourmet Prosperity Tea. And we also have that in our summary as well for you to be able to go and get some for yourself. So for today's divination, it says, our thoughts are forming the world. Ooh, so wise one. What do you think of that?
Thoughts become things. We define our reality. That's sort of the basis of all that we do, I should think. And it's challenging. It's so much easier to have an existence where what goes on is someone or something else's responsibility, and you just don't have to worry about it. It's all for a reason. It's all meant to be. It's all planned, and you just follow the plan, or get dragged through the plan, or however that feels for you. But when you realize that you actually have an effect on all of that, that can be pretty interesting. When you realize that the power does lie with you to make a difference in your direction and in your experience, and some people, I think, do that very quickly and easily, and some people, I think, get overwhelmed by that. And even when you get overwhelmed by it periodically, you hit these points where you go, well, now what? And you can't look it up in the plan. You gotta figure it out. You gotta be the god. You gotta be the goddess. That's challenging, let's say. And I'll use the word again, overwhelming. It really can hit you, and it can mess with you to accept that responsibility. But when you walk this path, you gotta do it. You gotta own it. Gotta own your shit.
A long time ago, a mentor of mine told me to watch my thoughts because they become reality. And I never really understood what that meant until I was a little older. And when I first understood what they meant, I thought, holy shit. The thing about magic is when you start to really understand what those words mean, you really start to be careful of what you think. It's just like I tell my students to start counting every time they say something negative or they think something negative. Because when you start to think something negative, you got to stop yourself and immediately think something positive. Because you never understand how negative you actually are. A lot of people who say that they're a positive person, are really a negative person until you start to realize how negative you are. For example, when people say, oh, you're such a dumb shit all the time, calling themselves a dumb shit all the time. I say, no, stop yourself and say a positive thing about yourself right then and there. Always do that. Every time you say a negative thing about yourself, say a positive thing about yourself right then and there. And they're like, well, why? I said, no, you got to do it right then and there. And you start counting every single time you do that. And then they start to realize how negative they actually are. And they're like, oh my God, I cannot believe how negative I am. I said, that's what you start to do. And then you're starting to change yourself. You're starting to reinforce this positivity mindset that you're doing. Because it takes at least 31 days to break a habit. And once you break that habit, you got to still enforce it each and every day. So when I say your thoughts can become your reality, they can. And that's through magic, because your magic is your thoughts. Your magic begins with your thoughts. It's where it begins. Because your thoughts is what starts to create the process of your magic. So yeah. So that one was a really, really good one. That's pretty awesome. All right. And with that, we need to hear some amazing words from our sponsors. We are all magical beings. As a solitary magical practitioner, you can grow and develop yourself independently. Yet, the solitary path can be difficult and lonely with setbacks and self-doubts. And as you find your way without affirmations, reinforcements, or a safe space to practice, what do you do when things bump back? At Evermoving We Rise, our name is our lifestyle. We realize that everyone's spiritual journey is extremely personal, but more easily traveled with reinforcement. We teach you to understand and use the magical tools at your fingertips, while being upheld and developing personal responsibility for your own spirituality. We have a safe space to practice and learn as you master your craft. When situations bump back, You will have the entire community behind you, as we are a magical family who work to sustain each other. Discover the benefits of working within a society dedicated to helping you grow on your personal path. Start today. Visit us at our website, Linktree, or Facebook page and discover why we don't fit in the box.
At Witch Hat Chats, we promote magical knowledge, arts, and music from all cultures. We invite you to join us as our guest to share your practice, especially if your traditions are lesser known. Email us at witchhatchats@gmail.com. Tune in every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Facebook page.
And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. I am Saul Ravencraft. I am here with Miss Nikki Kirby, and it is that time, isn't it?
That time?
That time when we bring on our very special guests.
Ooh. Oh, yes. We got to bring on our special guest, don't we?
You betcha.
All right. So we have two this time. So I'll go ahead and I'll bring on one. And this guest is the founder and president of Coventry Creations. This guest host is an internationally known maker of spiritual products and a co-owner of Candle Wick Shop. Her first spiritual product on the national market was her Blessed Herbal Candles. She has dedicated her entire life to the mission of normalizing the words witch and magic in everyday life. Oh my God. She is so blessed, isn't she? We are proud to present our friend, Jacki Smith. How you doing, Jacki?
Thank you so much, Nikki. It is a pleasure to be here again. I'm so glad you asked me back.
Of course. And so, can you introduce our second guest host?
Of course. Our extra guest has pursued his quest for knowledge and understanding of magic through dedicated practice and study for over 20 years. He helps others through his magical services. He's risen to become a leader in his New Orleans community. He's worked hard to build his business, Crescent City Conjure, which has just become one of only 2 Black-owned businesses in the French Quarter of New Orleans. He is the author of Crescent City Conjure Comprehensive Guide. Welcome, our friend, Sen Elias.
Hello, thank you for the introduction, Saul. Nice to be here with y'all.
Oh, glad to have you. Glad to have you both.
It's good to be here.
All right. Oh, so both of you have been in business for a while. So how did
30 years.
30 years.
30 years this year.
I only got 7 in.
Oh, 7's a big number. 7's a big number.
So how did both of you get into business?
For me, it was sheer tenacity. It was also accidental. I was making money, wanted to make money to go to college. I wanted to go to college to study psychology, theology, paranormal, all that stuff. And that's where I wanted to do. And so it was, there was not a lot of, back in the day, 30 years ago, there was not a lot of grants or funding available. Student loans were not a thing back then. And so I needed to get that tuition money together. And so I started doing things like making candles and sewing Ren Fair costumes and doing readings, and just kept doing what I could to make that money to go to school. And I didn't think that people would want to do the candles. They would want to buy the candles because, anybody can make a candle, right? Well, there are 7-day candles out there, and I didn't think anybody would want this charged, blessed candle that I did, because you could just go buy a 7-day candle. Why would they want this? but I did it, and I sold them, and I would take them to stores and go, I made this candle. Do you guys want it? And it just snowballed every month and every week, every month, every year. Business doubled and doubled and doubled because we were the only ones. I quickly went on the national stage. I went state to state. We were the only ones who were doing that. We're the only ones who were blessing and charging and creating this ritual candle that had all the pieces and parts together. So it was accidental on purpose and just going and doing it. I just did it. I didn't ask permission. I just did it. That's how I started in business on my kitchen stove with some ingredients and just went ahead boldly without asking permission.
How about you, Elias?
So it came from a period in my practice when I was very focused on every detail of ritual work. I remember when I was younger, I would go to Botanicas to get my supplies for ritual, soaps, oils, incense, candles, baths, or whatever. And it dawned on me that I didn't know what was in any of it. I didn't know any of the correspondences or how it worked or why it worked. I was just trusting that this oil would do something, that this candle would do something, that this bath would do something. And it felt like a cop-out. It felt like if I was going to call myself a real and genuine worker, then I had to show everything. I mean, we spend so much time looking at astrological correspondences and events in the sky and on Earth and within ourselves, the changes of seasons to make things work. Why am I just going to a Botanica and buying some random ass candle? I should show that as much attention as I do the larger work. And so I decided that I would focus on making my own oils and candles and baths and soaps. And it was just for me, and it was just for ritual. It was just for having this specific thing to perform a specific ritual. But I've been known for doing this type of work since I was a little boy. So people would, I've had clients for a long time, 1, 2, and now a lot, but then it was, 1, 2, 3 or whatever. So I started to offer them the oils and baths and stuff as part of, the service that I provided. And they came back reporting, great results, and I felt like I achieved what my original goal was to amplify my work via more specificity in the products that I was using. I moved so I was doing that in DC. My family's from South Carolina, which is where I get to work. But at the time I was in DC. And so I moved to New Orleans and started a 9 to 5. And I was still selling candles and oils and baths, like I'd been doing. But I think this environment really took to it very, very quickly, very fast and hard. And it to the point where I had to decide if I wanted to do my spiritual practice as a business, do it full time, or if I wanted to, continue to have a 9 to 5 and then, have my spiritual practice in the space that most people have theirs, after work, around their lives or whatever. But it's something that's so important to me and so big to me that I wanted to do that. I wanted to make it my entire life. And then it was a lot of other things. Like I told y'all earlier, it was seeing businesses that were, in my opinion, misrepresenting. And, that gave me a little fire to continue going and to push ahead. It was when I was looking around and I said, someone should really, some Black people should be owning some spiritual shops. And that was just a tape in my head over and over and over again. And I looked in the mirror one day and I said, well, that's you. You got to do that. And I did it without permission. And I like what you're saying without permission, because I find that the permission is the unnecessary gatekeeping and control of something that doesn't belong to the people who are saying that they control it. So I think it's important to move forward without permission in some regards, especially when it comes to coming from an authentic space within yourself and trying to represent that through a business.
I love that you said that. I love that you reflected that too, because often we look to our family, our friends, like, I don't know, should I do it? Maybe I should do it. The people that surround us for validation for what we're doing. And I was working as an office manager. It's adorable. I got the job totally faking it. I didn't know anything about typing. I never took a typing class in my life. I was a secretary and I totally faked my way into it. And, but that's kind of how we get through life in many ways. We decide we want to be something. So we go and we be it. And we look for the opportunity to start. And but I was really good at it because I organized the place so well and got them so efficient, they didn't need me anymore. And so I got laid off. And I convinced them to I was starting to get my business going, and I convinced them to make me part-time or lay me off. And I'd come in, lay me off completely, and I'll come in like 5 hours a week and keep you organized. And then they really didn't need me. And I showed them how to do stuff and not need me. And, but I just took that opportunity to get rolling. And I just used all of the resources, and I kept doing my magic too. That was a big thing, is I worked my magic at the same time. I did my spells for prosperity and drawing customers in. And a big thing is connecting with spirit, connecting with my guides and saying, what's my next step, you guys? You might not know a lot about business, but you can see what my next step to success is. It's staying in touch with my guides, my spiritual allies, and trusting them. And when I'm freaking out, reaching out and doing my magic and continuing that process. And then also finding the quiet space to listen. Because when I'm freaking out, I stop listening.
I mean, that's a great point. I mean, because what I realized was that with the brick and mortar, it was taking up so much time and energy in my life that it felt like it was subtracting from my personal practice. And so I've reached out to my spirits, my ancestors, and said, well, you put me here, you guided me step by step. So clearly this is something I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. But if it's taking away from my practice, why would you do that then? And the message that I received was, well, this is a part of your practice. You have to integrate it. And so I began to integrate ritual and meditations and practice into the business. So we start the day with prayer. We have a break in the middle with prayer and ritual. We do it at the end. We talk about what's going on in each other's lives and the type of energy we're bringing to the business. And we work through that with one another. Of course, people come in looking for spiritual solutions, but that's a service to the community. We have to still focus on ourselves and our personal spiritual practice.
The thing about it is when before I opened up my business, everything that I was in, my ancestors kept telling me, this is not what we wanted you to do. And I'm like, well, I'm trying. This is what I went to school for. This is what I'm good at, because I was good at so many different things. Mm-hmm. And, just like Jacki said, I'm good at it. This is something that's making me money. Why can't I do this? And every time my ancestors kept saying, no, this is not what we want you to do. No, this is not, but I'm helping people, but no, this is not what we want you to do. And I mean, I would get to the point where I would get so depressed at it, and I really got to where I really hated the job. I absolutely hated the job. And then I had to come home to take care of my mom. And so I started Moonlight Potions and Charms to try to not only to make money, but I want to be able to help others. And I think when it comes to spiritual companies, that if it's a true spiritual company, because not all spiritual companies do this, that we really get into it to be able to help others as well as ourselves with our products. And to me, that's something that's really good about it, because I would go to, I have seen other products and I would smell them like oils and stuff like that. And the oils were just, oh my God, they smell like some type of, what do you call it? Like kerosene oil or something like that. And you know that that is not an oil that was made by a person. They were not blessed by someone. There was no way in hell I was going to use that damn oil. There's just no way in hell I was going to use that, let alone get it and give it to a client of mine. Oh, hell no. I wasn't going to do that for somebody else. It would be better if I made my own. So, I mean, I had the practice, I had the training, and I actually cared about what I did. And so when I started to do this for others, and the way I saw it was helping others, it actually made a difference. And my ancestors told me, this is what we wanted you to do. My spirits were telling me, this is what you were put on this earth to do, is to help others, not just to help yourself. And I started to feel more at peace as I was doing this. And to me, this has been the best out of all of the work that I have done. This has been the best work that I have done and the most peaceful. Even though at times it has caused me to stress out, it's been the most peaceful stressed out that I've had.
Worthy. It's a worthy stressed out. It's a worthy stressed out. That's a difference between stressed out from working for others and then working in your own journey and your own goals for whatever reason. And as people start their own business, and I've helped mentor different business owners as they get going, reminding them that it's okay that all these different things that you've learned and done in different jobs kind of lead up to now. We collect our experiences, and our experiences kind of form what type of business we're going to create. Because if you have a job helping a seamstress or learning seamstress work, that's kind of form what kind of business you're going to open, because you're going to use all those experiences. Versus if you were a mechanic fixing cars, that would form the business that you would open. You probably wouldn't switch because you wouldn't have that experience. So honoring that, like that pain that you had, Nikki, is got you to this place. So loving and honoring and pulling that experience in, because you needed that experience. It may not be where your ancestors wanted you to be, but it was the things that you needed to learn to get to where you are now. And there's a lovely altruistic feeling of like, I'm here to help people. One of my mentors helped me get to this place where you having your why, your Simon Sinek talks about your why, that's in that servant leadership. Why am I doing this? Why? When you can communicate your why to the world, there's more loyalty and more connection with your business. And one of my mentors helped me find my contribution to the world. What is my business's or Jacki Smith's contribution to the world? If we don't have that contribution to the world, it's hard to kind of get up in the morning and get through those hardest moments. And it takes a minute to get through all the layers of the hows and the whats to get to your personal why or your contribution to the world. And I know mine and I know Coventry's, and that is to create empowered belief. Because what we believe we manifest, it kind of goes into your thoughts are forming the world. So what we believe we manifest. And I talk a lot about that in the big book of Candle Magic that just came out. Because if you think about it, if you wake up in the morning and you spill your coffee or your cream is sour that you put in your coffee, you're like, oh, it's going to be a crappy day. And you believe that, you start manifesting it. And that's one of the most simple things is, or like if you're frustrated with something, you're mad at someone, you're going to call the person that's also mad at them to fortify that belief. So what we believe we manifest. And so if we can empower our beliefs. And that's really what the Coventry products are all about, is empowering the belief that's going to forward your goals. And so if we can power those beliefs, that's my why. That's my contribution to the world. So as a business owner, if you can connect with your why, just get through all those layers and put that in front of every goal and in front of every problem that you have, in front of every struggle, that's what gets you up in the morning again. Mm-hmm. After your worst day. And that's what you celebrate after your best day, because we achieved that thing. And that's what you communicate with your team members, your stakeholders, which would be your family. Your stakeholders are your family and friends that are going to celebrate or going to invest in you by shopping with you, or invest in you by knowing that you're going to not spend any time with them and you're spending their time in your business, or literally invest with you with cash, and your team members that work for you. When you give them that why and they believe in that why with you, and they are going to connect with that why, then you can build a bigger team. So that, I think that's one of the most important things we can do as a business owner is really get that space, and you communicate to your customers, and you start building loyalty.
Yeah. Like with ours, our motto is to embrace the power of your own magic. Mm-hmm. Because, and we'll come back. In a moment when we have these powerful messages from our sponsor.
I'm Saul Ravencraft, co-host of Witch Hat Chats. I understand just how confusing and chaotic it can be to open to a path of magic and manifestation. Everything seems to turn on its head. I want to be an ally as you find the way upon your path. My studio setup will let us do readings, coaching, and exploration virtually, just as though you were sitting across the table from me. One size does not fit all, and we will work together to craft the right approaches to build your practice, your confidence, and your power using the tools of divination, magical works, and spirit connections. It's never too late to embrace a new path and emerge empowered. Go to TexasMojoMan.com and select Contact to begin. There's a message now. Let's get started working on your very good fortune.
We are all magical beings. As a solitary magical practitioner, you can grow and develop yourself independently. Yet, the solitary path can be difficult and lonely, with setbacks and self-doubts. And as you find your way without affirmations, reinforcements, or a safe space to practice, what do you do when things bump back? At Evermoving We Rise, our name is our lifestyle. We realize that everyone's spiritual journey is extremely personal, but more easily traveled with reinforcement. We teach you to understand and use the magical tools at your fingertips, while being upheld and developing personal responsibility for your own spirituality. We have a safe space to practice and learn as you master your craft. When situations bump back, you will have the entire community behind you, as we are a magical family who work to sustain each other. Discover the benefits of working within a society dedicated to helping you grow on your personal path. Start today. Visit us at our website, Linktree, or Facebook page, and discover why we don't fit in the box. Have you heard? People are raving about Moonlight potions and charms with 5-star reviews. 5 stars for excellent products, amazing services, and fast shipping. We are an Etsy star seller. Listen to some of our reviews. Author and owner of Wicked Witch Studios, Dorothy Morrison said, "I'm in love. The Marie Laveau Altar on the Go is absolutely amazing and jam-packed with everything one could possibly need, no matter what sort of magic they're planning. Kudos on a great product. Jess said, absolutely love the Papa Legba prayer candle. I've been hunting for a good Papa Legba candle forever with zero success, and I adore this one. High Priestess said, adorable wooden coffins. Can't wait to use them. And Angelica said about our ancestor oil, exceeding my expectations. Packaged with love and smells amazing. Definitely recommending and buying again. Make sure to check out our bubbling cauldron bath bombs, available in Luck of the Irish, Lavender, and Dragon's Blood. Our magical milk baths are also available in Papa Legba Purification, White Flowers, Lucky Love, and Van Van. All are homemade and spelled with love, care, and intention. Our Happily Ever After candle line is designed with you in mind. There is so much more in our Wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you.
And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. I am Saul Ravencraft. I'm here with Miss Nikki. We are joined by Jacki Smith and Sen Elias. We are talking about the business of witchcraft, the business of spirituality. I guess some people have a problem with blending those phrases together. I know some that I've talked to that say that anytime you're working with something spiritual, you need to be giving that stuff away. Which I've always pictured someone having to work at Walmart all day and then stay up all night ministering to people, like all skilled people do. Any thoughts about that controversy? Is it a controversy or just people being foolish?
Sen Elias, I would love to hear what you have to say on that, because I could go on for hours.
going for hours too.
Please.
I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset, so I just never really. I just never really understood how someone thought they deserved something for free that cost me something, and so I just don't. It just doesn't make sense. And we talk a lot about equal exchange and spiritual practice and the transfer of energy. Money is a form of energy, and it's the type of energy I would prefer for the type of work that I'm doing. That's it. I'd say, I can't provide the candles, the oils, and all these things without compensation. If I don't have that, then I'm not here. And so I can't provide this for you. So this is the reason why I can continue to do this for you. I need that resource in order to continue to produce. That's one of the many resources that I need. Self-care, community, all these other things are another really big point of it. And to be honest, I see people who are finding what I think is false virtue in not charging. I had this, and one story that really sticks with me. I had this woman call me, this young girl, and she called me from the hospital, and she said that she was dealing with a major lack of energy and so on and so forth, and that she had been doing readings for the majority of her life for free for people because she was one of the people who believed the things that people said when they said, oh, you shouldn't be charging. and she was just being drained and drained and drained and drained and drained, it can be dangerous to not get something back for what you're giving out. That equal exchange is important and necessary in spiritual work. To me, it's not a controversy. I think it's a controversy when people just want to hear themselves talk, to be honest, and just go back and forth amongst themselves. But the truth is, it's just impossible to continue to do the work that we're doing and providing for people without some form of compensation. I think that can come in many forms. It can be bartering. It could be service. It's not always about the tender, but that's just the most convenient and recognizable form of energetic exchange in our society. So, to me, it's just common sense. But for some people, and if that in the beginning, that conversation made its way to me, and I had to think about that. And I think the larger picture for me is the balance between authentic spiritual practice and just honest from the heart and commerce. That's the line that I have to always be balancing within myself. Not should I be charging? That's a yes, but it's the how much is the charging versus the altruistic desire to help people. How is that balanced, and to make sure that it's always going hand in hand in a balanced way every day.
I love how you phrased all that, Sen Elias. I like how that story is perfect about the woman you visited in the hospital who was giving away her readings for free. That is like the best cautionary tale. And I grew up Catholic, and we tithed. That is how we supported the church. There was no free spirituality. There was no free. That was not free. It was 10% of what you made every week. The check was written, done and done. And I remember asking my father about that. And I that was a big check, Dad. Why did you write that? It's because we support the church. The church supports us. This is how this works. So usually when people confront me with that, I'll ask them, where is this coming from? What is this all about? Why are you asking for this? And they usually have an ulterior motive, number one. They want something for free from me. And I have a lot of experience. I have spent a lot of money studying. I have spent a lot of time experimenting. I've spent a lot of my own energy experimenting. So for me to give that away for free is a complete disrespect of myself and of the relationship with the spirits that I work with. So if I am going to spend time with you and give of myself and my spirit in conversation, that's one thing. Even the business that I've mentored, there was an exchange. So if I'm going to spend time with you, there's got to be a reciprocity. Nothing is for free because I don't want to drain myself. My team that I hire, the team that I work with, they don't like to barter for their paycheck. They kind of want one. And me charging the right amount for my products so I can pay my people a living wage, so I can stay in business, so I can have the right product that goes to the stores. And I got to tell you, my stores, when my products arrive at those stores, they call me the rent maker. So they know when my products arrive, they're making rent this month. And so that's a really important place to be. So I got to make sure that's priced right, that I have the right ingredients, that I have quality, I pay people the right thing. It all cascades. So to say I should be giving this away for free when I'm actually like an ecosystem, a financial ecosystem, is an important and a responsibility to then just take you out of that it destroys the whole process. So 99.99% of the time when somebody tells me, actually has the tenacity to come up and say, I should be giving this away for free, and I spend the time to say, tell me about that statement. Tell me about that statement. Where's that coming from? And is it coming from you? Tell me about what that means to you and why you're saying that to me. And, they just heard it and they're saying it again. They don't really believe it. So I, on the other hand, have always felt I want to pay for this. I want to support you. I respect what you're doing. I don't want something for free. Or if you try and give me something for free, there's a reciprocity that's coming.
You know, when people say that to me, I turn around, I kind of grin and I look at them. I said, well, I've got rent that I have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I've got food that I have to pay. I've got so many bills that have to be paid, just like you. I've got that. You know, it's the same process here. Do you get to tell your landlord that when you can't make the rent that, I'm sorry, I can't make the rent this month. Can you just go ahead and vanquish, you know, that rent for the month and then move on to the next month? Can you be able to do that? They usually say no.
Right.
But your pagan and the spiritual gifts should be free. Well, I mean, what happens when you give your spiritual gift for free? What happens to that? That spiritual gift gets drained. You know?
You get to choose who you want to give to. So there's a great book actually called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's actually quite spiritual. If you haven't read it, it's worth the read. It's an easy read. And here's one of the things he talks about is that the rich dad, he buys the apartment building. And what he does is he makes sure that he creates beautiful living environments for many people at a reasonable rate, and that he makes a profit so he can get the next apartment building and creates positive living environments. Poor dad, actually that was poor dad. Well, I'm flipping it, but the other dad just buys the bigger and bigger house for himself and his family. That was rich dad. The poor dad lived poor so he could continue to grow these things. So it's like he can choose. So a dear friend of mine was charging, she's a brilliant reader, and she was charging so little that she couldn't live off her readings, but that's what she did and she goes, well, my customers can't afford more. And I said, your customers can afford more. Number one, they're going to the Ren Fair and they're spending $300 on a sword they can't use. They can afford to pay more for your reading. So please charge the going rate. And then you can choose, if you have one customer, well, this customer can't afford this rate. And I said, well, if you charge the going rate and you have one customer that can't afford that, you get to choose to gift that, to have a scholarship for a reading. But you don't have to charge everyone too little. If you need a scholarship, you have that opportunity rather than living in poverty and not being able to get to work because your car broke down and you don't have enough money for gas because you're giving everything away. So if you don't make sure you take care of yourself, then you're not putting on your own oxygen mask on first. You have nothing to give to anyone. You get to choose who you give to. And that's part of being in business, is that business is not about giving everything away. Business is about making money. And money is not a dirty word. Profit is not a dirty word. This is what it's about, because that allows you to grow and go do the next thing and the next thing. If you sold everything at cost all the time, or just like the cost of the product plus what it costs you to be in business, you can never grow. You have to sell it. You have the cost of the product, of what it takes to make the product, and the cost to like pay yourself and have rent. And then you have the reinvestment. That's the profit. So you can reinvest in yourself to grow your business, to make a new product, to fix the machine, to take a vacation. Because guess what? We don't get vacation pay when you own your own business. And there's nothing wrong. So that extra profit, that's called self-care. And there's nothing wrong with that. We think that, everyone's like, they're charging so much. No, that's called self-care. Just like you want vacation pay and you want a raise, business owners get to do the same thing. That's called self-care. It's not being greedy because, it's scary. When prices go up, it's scary for the consumer. When I go to the grocery store and my bill is up by 25%, it's scary. I'm not being facetious here. It's like, oh, all right, well, I only have so much money even as a business owner. Listen, business owners have probably the least amount of money than anybody else. So I only have, I got $20 at the grocery store, and that doesn't buy as much. So it's scary for everybody. And it's even scarier for business owners, because if we have to raise our prices, and we don't have essential products, you can live without the candle and you can live without the oil. And we have to raise our prices. It's very scary. Or you're just not going to buy it anymore. So, there's a lot of, with what Sen Elias does, and with what Miss Nikki does, and with what I do, there's a lot of energy and love and thought that goes into it. So it's a scary thing for us to price in a way that we can sustain. I'm sorry, I got really preachy. My apologies. It's a hard thing. It's very emotional.
I absolutely love what both of you are saying. Jacki, with the ecosystem, it's not just about us. It's about how, especially just how all of it works together, especially when you're selling products, and especially for a wholesaler, for you, where you're supplying other stores that are making money from that. If you don't sell, it's a chain reaction that's going to affect so many other people. And that's a really important part. And I think that's about seeing the larger picture instead of such a small personal desire to either get something free for the people who are saying, you shouldn't charge. Nikki, I would hope in a society that water should be free, that air should be free, that lodging should be free. That's not the case. So why aren't we talking about those things being free, and we talking about candles being free? So I think that's, perspective. I think it's all about perspective.
I love that. Nikki, what's your favorite part of having your own business? What is your very favorite part?
When I have a client or a customer coming to me and just telling me how much my products have really changed their lives. That's what really excites me the most.
Sen Elias, what's your favorite part of having a spiritual business?
There are these very special, quiet moments. And they, you got the bigger picture, and then you got the personal picture, and then you got that real genuine conversation with spirit when you're putting the last knot on something and it just clicks. And that moment is the best. I love that moment where all the concerns or worries or fears, in that moment, it all makes sense. In that moment, all the bigger things come down to this extremely minute period of just, this is who I am. This is what I'm giving, and this is real.
Yeah.
It's that moment where it's undeniable for myself, where I'm saying something to spirit in action, and then I'm receiving something back. It's that exchange for me with spirit that makes it so incredible. And when my head is lost in, the numbers, or, the concerns of other people, employees, customers, and all that, and it comes just back down to that laser point, it just completes a cycle for me.
Love it. I love it. Those are some good moments.
How about you?
So there's a lot of amazing moments, but when I can see the web, the how what we do affects the customers, the team members, the world. When I can see the web, that moment that you said, when it all comes together, when you're tying the little thing when it snaps, when I can see the web, and where I'm at the center of it, or the Coventry's at the center of it, how everything cascades out, how that energy affects the world. That is when I go, oh yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. That I can handle an upset customer. I can handle, a dwindling bank account, or a growing bank account, or, conflict. I can do it. I can do it another day, because it's really, it's hard because you zip yourself open. You zip yourself open and show yourself to the world. You show yourself to your customers, to your vendors, your employees. It's probably the most vulnerable I have ever been. It's so vulnerable because, like you said, your customers, your vendors, your staff, I mean, everybody, you think you don't have a boss? No, you have all the bosses, right? Everyone's your boss. Your customers are everyone you owe money to, and your customers, everybody's your boss. I am accountable to absolutely everyone. Whereas the person that reports to me is accountable to me. I'm accountable to them and everybody else. And that's the responsibility that I feel. So it's can be scary.
I just want to take a moment and thank both Nikki and Saul for creating this space. This is really feeding me right now. We just moved the shop and my mind's back on the nuts and bolts of things, which is it's an uncomfortable place to be. It's a little imbalanced, to be honest. And so just talking about this and having this conversation, I think is important. It's important for me. I hope it's going to be important for other people who are focused on business and in their spiritual practice as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think that a lot of times the business is not talked about enough in the spiritual scene, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to own my own spiritual shop," but nobody ever goes and thinks about the process it takes to own the spiritual shop. They all think, "Oh, it's easy." They think of the Good Witch, where you just walk in and all these people come to you. And, I rarely ever see her ever take money. She always gives everything away. Yes. And she lives all this magical stuff as well. And it's like, how does she ever make money?
What does her husband do for a living?
Right. I mean, her husband's all right.
It's TV, and TV's not reality. Right. You always have to remember that. Charmed is not real magic, and right. There really aren't that many demons coming after you. So, I love. A lot of times, people will come and tell me two things. People give me candles frequently, and as gifts, because I like candles, right? Which tickles me to no end. Not that I have thousands and thousands of candles at my beck and call, but I do also love when people give me candles too, because I like to see what other people are doing. But people come and ask me about how to make candles, and I freely share. Oh, look, I'm making these little candles and I'm selling them on Etsy, or how do you do this? How do you do that? And I freely share how to do some of this stuff. And even sometimes, I'm looking for a supplier of beeswax or soy or whatever, and I'll point them in good directions. Because I know there is a pride in being able to craft your own things. I know that there's a pride in doing some of these things yourself. And I know in the magical community, people feel that they'll look at something like, oh, I can make this. And the other reason I freely share these things is because then when you start to look at, oh, I got to buy, 20 pounds of wax to make one candle, or I got to buy all these oils to blend this one. And there's an experience that I'm happy to share, like, okay, you got to buy all this stuff to make this one jar. And that's what Sen Elias and Miss Nikki and here Jacki Smith, we all invest in. I'm sure you could walk into any of our workshops and see the wall of oils and the wall of ingredients that's worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So that's at our beck and call, that we can craft and do things and make unique things with. So that's the difference between, saying, I'm going to make something myself, and then going to Crescent City Conjure or going to Miss Nikki's store and saying, this is something I need. And we have the ingredients and the stuff to put it together at just the right time and the space and stuff. So, at the same time, I love watching people and their pride of creating their own stuff. It's a beautiful thing, because then they come to you and they understand what it takes to do what we do. So there's enough for us all. I'm sure if you are familiar with Coventry's products, with the Blessed Herbal candles, with the affirmation candles, the Witches Were All These, Astro Magic, one of our newest lines, that there are many copies of us. We're the original out of the market, and there's many copies of us. And at first I was quite insulted and put out by this. But then I realized that there's enough for all of us. There is. And I really live by that. And yeah, so if it's not my candle, it's somebody else's candle, it's okay. There's a different experience you need today. I must do, competition means I must do my best.
My mom had asked me, she said, why don't you go ahead and make your own candles? And I looked at her and I said, I could. That's just too much damn trouble.
Candles are messy. A lot of work.
And I said, I already got too much to do. So I'll just go ahead and buy the candle and just put my label and I'll fix it. And that's all I need to do.
Yeah, there's something to be said about being able to go to a trusted practitioner, someone that you do trust, and saving, honestly, time and money, because it costs probably more for, if you're going to make it in a small batch, one candle, than to go somewhere and purchase the same candle that, we've gotten wholesalers and putting our time and energy into. It's probably going to cost you less than if you were to make it by yourself. There's something to be said about that. And I really, because I like what you were saying, as the pride of someone making things themselves. Yes, I think that they should make them themselves. I was making things myself for that same reason, because I didn't know what was in something or trust it. But if you go to someone that you do trust and that you have a relationship with and has spent the time and energy to build a community around their business, people who, and the ecosystem, and I'm going to use that. I love it. That's great. Then that's the service. That's the service for people who are truly concerned about the authenticity and the power of their work. To go to someone who they trust has that, to add to something that's so special, their personal spiritual practice, so special and so sacred. To add such it's an honor. It's an honor to be trusted to provide things for people.
Well, we have to take a break from this fascinating conversation about pagan business, spiritual business, and the ins and outs and ups and downs, to hear from some of the people who sponsor our show through their businesses. So we'll be right back after this stuff you gotta know.
Have you heard? People are raving about Moonlight potions and charms with 5-star reviews. 5 stars for excellent products, amazing services, and fast shipping. We are an Etsy star seller. Listen to some of our reviews. Author and owner of Wicked Witch Studios, Dorothy Morrison said, "I'm in love. The Marie Laveau altar on the go is absolutely amazing and jam-packed with everything one could possibly need, no matter what sort of magic they're planning. Kudos on a great product." Jess said, "Absolutely love the Papa Legba prayer candle. I've been hunting for a good Papa Legba candle forever with zero success, and I adore this one." High Priestess said, "Adorable wooden coffins. Can't wait to use them." And Angelica said about our ancestor oil, "Exceeded my expectations. Packaged with love and smells amazing. Definitely recommending and buying again." Make sure to check out our Bubbling Cauldron Bath Bombs, available in Luck of the Irish, Lavender, and Dragon's Blood. Our magical milk baths are also available in Papa Legba Purification, White Flowers, Lucky Love, and Van Van. All are homemade and spelled with love, care, and intention. Our Happily Ever After candle line is designed with you in mind. There is so much more in our Wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you. Are you at a crossroads? Not sure which direction to go? Or do you feel powerless? Or is there another question that needs answering? At Moonlight Potions and Charms, our many services assist our clients to emerge their authentic selves and embrace the power and magic that lies within them. Many of our readings provide the clarity one needs to pursue their life's destiny. Our soulful readings assist one to discover what is required to be in alignment with one's soul journey. Our tarot readings provide clarity and coaching for those who are at a crossroads in life. Our animal medicine readings show what our animal brothers and sisters can teach you about yourself and your life. Unsure where to start your shadow work? Book a shadow reading. There is so much more in our Wicked store, so visit us at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and embrace the power of your own magic. And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. And we are chatting with Miss Jacki Smith and Sen Elias. And we're going to be discussing the Witches Cabinet. Woohoo! And we're going to be talking about how we can be able to make your business profitable and all the little charms we can put around it. Woohoo! Ooh, we're going to have all that money coming in. Yes, yes. We're going to have all that money coming in. Woohoo! And we don't have to dance naked around the damn place. So it's going to be fun. Fun.
I don't want a ticket.
well, you know, Jacki, they may want to just stand outside and take pictures when you do it.
No, I get arrested. But let's just talk about what Sen Elias does. Because you do some really cool stuff. You were talking about some really cool stuff on the break. Let's just deflect any of that stuff from me. Let's go to your story. Deflecting.
One of the things that we sell at Crescent City Conjure is called a money drawing kit, and it's a offering to the community for something that I've done personally for myself for a long time. So it's a really simple charm. It could be a $1 bill, $5 bill, $10 bill, $100 bill. I use money drawn oil, which I make at the shop. And money drawing recipes are really simple. They typically use things that are common in the cabinet because hearth and home represents prosperity. So those common herbs are what's used in a recipe. So we would dress the dollar bill or whatever denomination with money drawn oil, and then put a lodestone, which is a naturally occurring magnet for those who don't know, in the center of the bill. Dress a money drawn candle, so one of those little chime candles, because you don't want too much wax. It shouldn't be a 7-day candle or like a votive or even a like a pillar candle, thing like that. Just one of those little charm candles, because it'll give you the perfect amount of wax, and it'll pool up in the center of the bill and the lodestone. And right before it cools completely down, you don't want it still to be super hot, because then, of course, it'll run all over your hands. But right before it cools completely down, you can fold that bill over that wax and that lodestone to seal the charm up. And I would carry that in my pocket or in a green mojo bag or something like that. But I began, ever since the business opened, began putting it into the cracks of the bricks in the front door of the location. And I like being sneaky about it, but also not too sneaky, because it creates intrigue. And then it sucks people in a very occult way. Occult means hidden. So, it's just, and if they're paying attention, at least the people at the shop, they get involved, and they'll start doing it themselves, start writing petitions on the dollar bills with the prosperity returns to them. They're supporting the business. But they're supporting the business, but they're also supporting themselves in that way. Every time someone walks through the door, their charm's empowered a little bit. Every Thursday, ruled by Jupiter, we can feed those charms, cigar smoke and rum, or to drop a few drops of money drawing oil on them. But you always want to, you never want to forget about your charms or forget about what you did. You always want to be feeding it. So that's what I do. And like I said, I was recently going through the Magical Greek Papyri and saw a working that was very similar to that. So I think for those of us who intuitively just gravitate towards creating a charm in that way, it's been done for a long time, which gives me confidence that it works.
Awesome.
That's cool. I like that. I'm going to do something similar in my building. What I did at my old factory, is I took railroad spikes, which I love working with railroad spikes because it anchors your magic in, especially when you dress those railroad spikes. And I also love working with fake $100 bills, because it's when you get a really good fake $100 bill, like this one says like used for, this one says like money, movie money. So they use stuff like this in movies because it looks really real, doesn't it? I'm like, I want to spend this. I gave this to somebody. They're like, I'm going to spend it. No, you can't spend it. So, but it's just like this big fat emotional reaction to this. And I would wrap this around the rail. First, I would write on it what the intent is, what I'm going for, of like. And I wouldn't, if I'm going to do it on a railroad spike, I wouldn't give it a dollar amount. I would give it a big, I would be a little more broad, like continuous growth, blah, blah, blah. I said, grow till we grow out of this building, grow until we need to expand. And then I do both sides, write our name on it. I put my business card, on it, and I wrapped it around the railroad spike. And then I had green ribbon and purple ribbon. And then twine, so the three, and then I anointed the whole thing. It wasn't necessarily money draw. There was a couple different things I used. Sometimes it's in the moment. I change up, just use intuition. I think I used success. But I used 4 different oils in the 4 different corners. I just meditated on what the different directions wanted. And then I put that railroad spike in the 4 corners of the building in the 4 directions. It happened to be the corners were the directions, which was very handy. And then I did something right at the doorstop. So that was great. But then I kind of lost track of where the railroad spikes were when it was time to move. So you talked about when you moved your building, when we moved to a new building, you did a second line?
Yeah, I wanted to make and so what we did was we made a whole lot of noise in front of the old location. Lots of dancing and partying and celebration. And whenever, let's say in Voodoo, right, where you have a fete, like a fete gede or anything like that, there's going to be ritual done like behind the scenes while people are partying. And so it's the same concept where, people are partying, but I'm busy, doing little things in the background to pull up the metaphorical railroad spike and take it with me to the new location. So we partied all the way up Esplanade and down Decatur Street to the new location, and did another song in front of the space. And the dancers and the brass band and the dancers that were with the second line, they went in, and then everyone followed them. So it felt like first off, that was just such a special moment for me. But
I love a second line.
It felt like the energy had moved, and since I couldn't And previously we talked about things being under concrete. Since I couldn't dig up the concrete and retrieve those things, I wanted to at least connect to them energetically and move that energy from the old location to the new location.
Since I couldn't do a second line because I'm in Detroit and they're not as prevalent, although I recently found out that they are. What we did is I had us take a bunch of our equipment, and we're only a couple blocks away, and we all kind of paraded and laughed and did a variation on that, bringing everything in, and we all like woohoo and celebrated. And then so I that's exactly what I did. I said, we're bringing all this energy here, and then we all went back to the old building, and we toasted to the building and said goodbye. So we then disconnected, and so we did that thing, and so we brought all the energy over. But when we got our sign up, it took a while for us to get our sign up over here. I blessed the sign. I washed the sign. So I cleansed it first, and then I did a money wash on it. Mm-hmm. And another thing that I've done in the business, which I've also done in my home office, when it's time to paint, I charge the paint. I put oils, and it didn't affect the paint, but I put a whole thing of 10 milliliters of oil in the paint. And I also put some mica in the paint, gold mica in the paint. And you couldn't see it when you were rolling it, but I charged I made a whole concoction and I put it in the paint, ground it up real fine. And so,
I swear to God, we've spoken before. I swear to God, we've spoken before.
You like that idea?
And I love that idea, but I swear to God, we've spoken before.
I told you. I think.
Yeah, it's hitting me like quite hard right now. But
yeah,
I
started in the. I was told, my spirit told me to start in a certain direction and give offering, and I painted that wall. Just painted some of the wall, and then told me to go to each wall and connect them. And before I finished painting, so I do not love painting, but I. My sister does the cutting in, I do the walls, but so I turned it into a ritual, because this is where I make deals and all this other stuff. So yeah, when we painted our store, same thing. So these are little things that I've done. And then I bring, if you have team members, when it's time to cleanse, we do this at least twice a year in our factory. I bring the whole team in, I teach them how to cleanse the whole place. And they're a part of the cleansing because they're part of the team. And then I teach them how to refill. And we do a lot of, my favorite way to refill after cleansing is laughter and dance, bring in the joy. That brings in money. If you want to bring in money, you bring in laughter and music and joy and dancing. That for me, and I go to other people and we do cleansings and we bring in laughter and music, the cash register starts to ring. And the other thing that makes a cash register ring is a bell. Even if you don't have we don't have a cash register that goes cha-ching, but a bell, it's time to ring the cash register, ring the bell. Especially virtual businesses doesn't have a cash register. Ring the bell. It's time to ring the bell. Listen to the cash register ring. Or a bike bell works really well because it sounds a little more like cash register. Anoint that sucker. Yeah.
It's just funny. Like the paint situation, like I've heard that from someone and I'm pretty sure it was you. Like, and that sounds like, that's awesome.
I feel like we have connected in that. I don't know how.
It's a fantastic idea. Yeah. Just to put it right in the paint. Yeah.
That's my witch's cupboard. I also put wishes and burn these.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really cheap to buy a stack of them. Movie Money. I think it's called moviemoney.com or something like that. I give them away. And I put wishes on them and I burn them. And of course I anoint it with money draw oil or success oil. And, it works. It's a quick wish.
All right. Other ways that I have done it is that the god Hotai. You put Hotai up in front. He is considered to be the god of cash. He is the Buddha that's always laughing. So he's considered the god of cash. He brings the money in. And that little white kitten that's always doing this, that's the one that always grabs the customer and brings the customer in. So you always have that one as well. So there's two of those. It always says that.
Yeah.
And also my business prosperity candle. That one does a lot of different things. And it depends on the owner. For some, it brings them marketing ideas. For others, it brings them ideas. It brings them customers in that actually buy. It just depends on the owner to what it actually does. It's very, very, it's a wonderful thing. I usually can't keep them on the shelf.
Customers that actually buy is an important part of your intention work.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in customers is great, but defining customers that buy.
Right.
I've made that mistake and I've corrected that mistake.
Right. It's like with Etsy, people like it when people favor your stuff. And I said, well, that's good and everything, but I'd rather them buy.
That's the better kind of favoring.
Right.
Compliments mean more when you buy it.
Right.
The best compliment.
That is the best compliment. Way better than imitation. Way better.
All right. So thank you, Jacki and Elias, for coming on to the show. And where can our people reach you?
Jacki, you want to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. CoventryCreations.com. That's COVENTRY creations.com is the website. And you can find us on all the socials at Coventry Candles, Coventry Creations. Those two things, you can find us on all the socials. TikTok even.
CrescentCityConjure.us, 1224 Decatur Street, New Orleans, and all the socials, Crescent City Conjure. Not TikTok, because I'm like but like Instagram and Facebook, yeah. Not all the socials, some of the socials. And YouTube. Yeah.
And YouTube.
Yes, Crescent City Conjure.
I'm looking. I'm going to go look.
All the namesakes. All by Crescent City Conjure.
All right. So that is all for our show today. So join us next week when Saul and I will be chatting with Brian Hink. All right. So ladies, these are our rights that no one gives or takes away from us because we are not property. So you make sure that you let the men know and understand that, and you want to vote these slave owners out of office, okay? Make sure you register to vote and you vote them out of office. Get that? Okay. So you want to wear a mask and you want to get your vaccinations and your boosters and support the people that are helping you. And keep your fuzzy babies, your family, and yourself safe. And have an absolute magical week.
I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk. Nikki Kirby with that black stone. I agree, Evermoving We Rise. Life and soul will the beautiful mind. I give you blessings under moonlight. I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk.